What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of RGTP. I am your host, Lewis, and with me, as always, with the Jigglypuff holding down the New Orleans
Got
Saints
Saints. Yes,
Super
sir.
Bowl hat.
Yeah.
We got all the way from the land of
Oh,
the
well,
bayou, the gator snipping,
yeah.
alligator
Whoa.
infested.
Whoa. What's wrong with you,
Mambo,
bro?
how we doing?
Hey, chilling, bro. Winning in the rec, 2K. Still playing
2K
that, of
has
course.
taken over. 2K
Yes.
has absolutely taken over. It is amazing. Right on cue. We already got a comment earlier from Big Nips. How are you doing today, my guy? We are excited to break down all things NFL Week 1. Super excited. Mamba, we had big wins. We had close wins. We had kicks getting doinked left and right.
Yo.
We had a team score 44 points. We had a team score 3 points. We even had a motherfucking tie in week 1.
I almost had two.
My
we almost
goodness.
had 2 ties. Yeah.
NFL football is back.
Yes.
How excited are you for the season to finally be upon us?
I actually woke up to watch the pre-shows to it as well. And I believe on Fox there's a pre-show, and I even watched the pre-show. So I mean, it's a great time of the year, right? We got NFL back now, 2K dropping,
started.
Yeah, everything is coming back, and it feels like life is complete again.
Hey, I hear it early on. Nips is feeling it as a Bengals fan. And don't worry, we are going to get to that game. But what better place to start than Thursday Night Football? The defending champion Los Angeles Rams take on the Buffalo Bills in our first game of the season. 31-10 Buffalo. Of course, some of the highlights, lowlights of the game. Obviously, 5 interceptions in our first game. How did you feel about that? Are we defense before, catching up before the offense? Are there our quarterbacks a little nervous? These are what, 2 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL right now? Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. You could definitely say 2 of the top 10.
We throwing picks galore already.
I think that was just a thing. It being week 1, the defenses were truly ready, right? We mentioned Bengals. Interceptions, fumbles, they were happening a lot this week, and it'd be kind of cool if it continues, right? Because everyone's always like, oh, the offenses, man. It's all about the offense, and the defense is what is your offense if you can't pass on us,
Absolutely. Von Miller was a monster this game.
Oh, my God. That Rams
questioning that Rams offensive line looking real sus out there.
We picked them to win that division, too. Go back last week, but that O-line's going to have to make some improvements. It wasn't all their fault. There was blame to go all around on that team. But if you cannot block for your quarterback to give them the time, or you cannot block for your running backs to get them a hole, your offense isn't going anywhere. It literally starts with the offensive line. Right.
Legit. And you mentioned it. Running backs ain't going where. Cam Akers, a big old fat goose egg on fantasy, broke a lot of hearts. And Allen Robinson.
It's funny, though.
Are we supposed to see an Allen Robinson resurgence? Revenge season?
Don't get me started. Oh, no, we started.
I believe you started him in our fantasy league.
I did, yes. Bro, this was not a good week for me with receivers, bro. That's Allen Robinson. It's week 1. Another player that I had in my starting lineup was Devontae Smith. He got targeted 4 times and didn't get a reception. Allen Robinson, he got targeted once, and he caught his pass for 12 yards, right? And then they just never went to him again, it felt like. And then you see the videos of him doing his curls and and then curling, and obviously, he wasn't doing only that, but there were times where it's this man is only curling. It's all he's doing. I expect his numbers to obviously go up. He's going to get targeted more. They're playing Atlanta this week. So, you should probably watch out for Allen Robinson this week, Lewis. That's all I'm saying.
Agreed. We'll see. Because my guy on the flip side, you obviously had Josh Allen, big arm. It looked like they had no problem moving the ball up and down the field outside of those the 2 interceptions. One was essentially stripped away, and one if I remember correctly, was it ricocheted off the guy.
I remember the commentator saying like that's not on him. Like
Those
he can't
got two
control that one.
tough interceptions for Josh Allen, but Stephon Diggs looked like Stephon Diggs that got there in year one, absolutely torching that secondary for the Rams. Had a big season opener for me in fantasy. Super glad. Can't wait to see what he does going forward. As we move on, we have another game. As we were speaking of Devontae Smith, Philadelphia 38. Detroit Lions 35 in a very interesting game that got way up there in the scoring. How do we feel about this game overall?
Yeah, I kind of expected it to go like this.
Really?
I actually did expect this to be high scoring because like Philly added way too many weapons, and one of their weapons had 0 receptions. It's terrible. But AJ Brown, he had like 155 yards, right?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
I believe like 3 of their running backs all had a rushing touchdown.
Yes,
right?
Including Jalen Hurts. So four
Gainwell,
rushing touchdowns.
Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, I believe.
Yep.
And then Jalen, like that's crazy. But on the flip side, Detroit, Jamal Williams, that's his name, right?
Yep.
DeAndre Swift, big game. Thank you. My running back showed up this week.
My running on the ground. He was moving.
DeAndre Amon-Ra had a good game.
Had a decent game. Caught a tutty.
Like there was playmakers on both sides of the fields where it was like they're probably going to score some touchdowns, and you would maybe expect Eagles defense to slow it down a little bit more because they've added so many like new pieces that are like, wow, that looks great on y'all, right? But it's week 1.
It's week 1.
Not many teams can get these pieces, and they just got Chauncey Gardner, so it's not like they've had months to build. Like they got to get their chemistry together. They got to know how each other play on the field, and then it should start clicking for them. It's week 1.
The offensive line in the run game going to be all right. Obviously, 4 rushing touchdowns, as we previously touched on, and over 200 rushing yards on the ground. Last season's leading rushing team continues this season.
Yeah, they had like 2,700 yards, I think it said.
I can't remember. I just know they were number 1.
Yeah.
I know over the last like 4 or 5 weeks of the season, they were just dominating the run game. Philadelphia on the right track already.
That sounds like Philadelphia football.
Looking good, obviously. Detroit is Detroit. Yeah. These are kind of the seasons, we're going to see an emotional season with Detroit. Should be all right.
It's unfortunate, though.
We'll get through the pains. It is an exciting team to watch, as we mentioned. Swift, $144 on the ground. Amon-Ra. There's quite a few. We'll see what Jameson Williams looks like when he's fully healthy out there as a perimeter weapon. Just a tough loss, though, but they put up 35 points again, an Eagles
and comeback as well.
That improved a lot over the offseason.
Yeah, I believe they were down double digits at one point in this game.
Oh, yeah, there was a couple of these games that got out of hand, and fourth quarter rolled around. Oh, we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter rolled around, and a lot of teams made big pushes in. Interesting game. We'll have to see where Philadelphia. We'll touch up on them for their game next week as one of our featured games for next week later on in the show. As we continue on with the third game on the slate, we had the monsoon game. Bears 19, 49ers 10 in an absolutely ridiculous, hellacious, terrible. I just don't know how to describe the field conditions about that. And I actually spoke to a guy at my job about the 49ers, and he's just like, just give us a break. It's a tough game.
They lost Elijah Mitchell again.
Lost Elijah Mitchell, of course. George Kittle did not play, not practicing today, not looking good for my fantasy team this week.
In one of my leagues as well. That's terrible.
But what a game, though. Justin Fields gamed the fuck on and did just enough to eke out a win.
That was a terrible first half for him.
Oh, yeah.
19 yards and an interception, and then to turn it around, get 2 touchdowns in the second half, it wasn't pretty on either side, but like these are still 2 young quarterbacks trying to figure out the NFL.
Absolutely.
And they're literally drowning on the field. Like literally drowning from all the water. Like it's just one of those games where it'll go down in history as like this is when there was like 20 feet of water that filled the stadium.
Right.
And the Bears actually came out on top, you know, like it just feels like for the weather aspect of it. Two young quarterbacks, they're still trying to figure it out. 19-10, ugly game. It's all right though. Again, week one, two young QBs.
Week one, absolutely, I agree. Like you mentioned, young guys, young quarterbacks. Justin Field, essentially, he's kind of like a redshirt rookie. Obviously, didn't get a ton of the on and off starts were pretty bad for him last season. Trying to just get this everyone, GM, ownership, coach, all behind him, moving forward as the new regime's clearly trying to move some guys in, getting this new facility all set and ready to go in Arlington, I believe. So yeah, it's gonna definitely be tough. Trey Lance, obviously, all off season, he's been dealing with the Jimmy Garoppolo storylines.
Yep.
Is he ready? Is he good to go? Tough game. Both these guys have something to build on. Obviously, Green Bay is in Justin Fields' sight. They will play this weekend coming up in one of the games on his bucket list. It is, in fact, beat Green Bay. And then Trey Lance, on the other hand, gets to play a frisky Seattle Seahawks team. We'll talk about them a little bit later on. But next week, definitely some games. Trey Lance hopefully can have a bounce back against Seattle. And Justin Fields versus Aaron Rodgers should definitely be entertaining for a few more years. We'll see how long Rodgers goes, but that can definitely be a duel that I can get behind as we go on.
If I'm Rodgers, skedaddle, homie. Skedaddle.
As we move on to one of the wildest games of the weekend. Pittsburgh 23, Cincinnati 20. Pittsburgh wins in overtime off of a Boswell kick. It's good.
I wanted it to
but
miss
sadly,
so bad.
It was not the only kick that was taken. We saw Evan McPherson doink a kick. I believe he doinked two this game.
Boswell missed one before he hit the...
Boswell also missed a game-winning field goal.
Oh, McPherson got blocked by Minka. His field goal, you know, like...
4 picks for Mr. Joey Burrow.
One was returned for a touchdown.
The first pass of the game.
Yes, sir.
Was a pick 6 coming off of Joe Burrow's fingertips.
When I tell you, my heart didn't know how to react when I saw the first, like, I have the Steelers defense in the one league that I want to win the most, right? Like, the one league I have the Steelers defense, and it's game 1, and it's Joe Burrow. I want to see Joe Burrow do good, and, you know, I also have T. Higgins. Yep. But that Steelers defense, it continues to be Steeler defense every year, no matter what the offense it is, you know. And their offense, it is what it is for right now. That defense is reliable, and they are going to lose T.J. Watt for about 6 weeks, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know what
they got it 8 months though.
There's a lot.
They don't have to do any surgery on it, so he'll be back sooner. Steelers, they might be able to upset a few more people, maybe. But
of course,
those kickers, bro. Let's get it together. Let's get it together. There was a lot of missed field goals.
McPherson was like the shit in the playoffs.
What was his odds to win the Super Bowl MVP? It was probably up there.
Pretty damn high.
Yeah, it was
he was chilling during the halftime. You know, the Super Bowl halftime show. Like, people were falling in love with McPherson. There was a long snapper issue that was sort of talked about consistently throughout.
Yeah.
You know, it's something you have the long snapper, the holder, and the kicker. I know Mason Crosbar. Obviously, you know, crossbars nowadays, but when he was Mason Crosby, Green Bay had the same kicker, holder, snapper for like I forget how many consecutive games. Like it was just it proved to be bad at the end there. But you touched on another.
You don't get that ball down right, bro. It makes it tougher for the kicker.
The spin around on the laces was just so tough. How to catch it from way up.
Yes.
That was tough. But you did touch on an injury. TJ Watt presumably will miss some time. And, of course, we have Najee Harris, who did not return to the game. Hopefully he can get help.
Has so many injuries, bro.
There was quite a few injuries. I believe Cam Hayward also went down for an injury this game as well. It's going to be interesting. Cincinnati looks to bounce back against a Dak Prescott-less. We will talk about in a bit. And the Pittsburgh Steelers will play Actually, I can't think of if it's. I can tell you right now.
Uh,
The
it
Pittsburgh
is.
Steelers will play host to the New England Patriots next week in
Oh,
a
y'all are gonna get
game that
fucked.
we will talk about in a bit. But it should definitely be interesting. Obviously, Mitch Trubisky and company
Yeah.
probably don't feel great about that game when you only won on a OT field goal kick and the other team threw 4 interceptions. So that's definitely going to be something that they're going to have to get together. Don't know if you're going to get 4 picks every single time,
No.
but the defense still should absolutely hold up. Mitch Trubisky obviously going to do everything that he can. We'll see when Kenny Pickett's time, arrives. We'll see if and when
Yeah, we'll
that is, but
see.
we'll see. We shall
Yeah.
as we finally get to one of our teams. That's right. Miami versus New England ended
Yo, I actually watched some of this.
27. I sadly did.
Yeah,
Um,
those offense sucks. Your
yeah, our offense is
offense,
dog
bro,
water.
it is
I don't know how
not
else
fun.
to sum it up.
Every
One of the
time
main
y'all were on
things
offense, I switched to the Jags game.
we
When
we're,
Miami was on offense, I was watching the game. That's
we're
how
bad.
it felt.
One of the main things I highlighted: no run game
Yes,
whatsoever.
but
I think we ran for 89 yards and Miami ran for like 63. This was the worst display of running offense I have ever seen. But
for the
in other news,
Patriots, probably.
Mac Jones questionable, although it is said that he is set to go. I believe he's suffering from some back spasms. He might play against Pittsburgh. If not, we will be seeing either Brian Hoyer or the young and upcoming Bailey Zappi, which should absolutely be
Oh yeah,
interesting.
y'all drafted him in the 4th round.
It should be
This is
interesting.
why.
Yeah, Mac Jones suffering from a little back stiffness, did throw an interception, did get a touchdown. The
Shit,
interception, though, was not his fault. On the replay, it was a definite pass interference on Devontae Parker. They absolutely mauled the man. So,
happens.
yeah, definitely got to get that shit figured the fuck out. But like I mentioned, we will be going to Pittsburgh to play the
Yes.
Steelers, which hopefully can be a much better game for us. Although they do have quite
Probably
a bit.
not though.
Shut up, I
If
know.
that Steelers defense comes out like they did against
Hey,
Cincinnati,
no TJ Watt, we might have a
yeah.
chance at least
But
there. Our
I
line
mean,
might be able to
Minka's
hold
still
up.
there.
Minka's
Cameron
obviously
Hayward
still
probably
there,
gonna be there.
but
Yeah, I mean,
what's Minka gonna
Miles
do? We don't have
Jack.
any. We don't have a primary number one
No,
guy
that's
that he
true.
gonna. We might get lucky there, but on the flip side,
Maybe.
Miami, as previously mentioned, piss poor run game, but Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as the two main guys
Yep.
that everyone was talking about for this team got it done. Tyreek led the team in receiving yards. Waddle caught a touchdown. Chase Edmonds out in the backfield managed to pick up
Yo,
quite a few catches in the backfield to redeem himself in
if
fantasy because I was getting fucking worried for a
yes, if
while
I
there.
knew he was wearing number 2, bro, I would have drafted him. When I saw that man in the number 2, I was like, bro, why does that look so right? Like he is going to have a great year simply because of his jersey, bro.
Absolutely, I
It
have Chase
looks
Edmonds in like
great.
2 of my leagues, being the pass catching primary,
Yeah.
primary catching back for Tua as they're just going for the short gain
Yeah.
big play, so to speak. I know it sounds weird to say that, but get the ball in the hands of your fastest players, Tyreek, Jalen
Jalen
Waddle,
Watt. Yeah.
Raheem Most starts obviously there. A lot of people know how fast he is. Suffered an injury last season in San Francisco, so he was dearly missed. And then obviously guys like Chase Edmonds that are able to be dual threat, run, and catch the ball.
Hey,
They're not afraid to move it.
that Angold
Alec Ingold,
number
yes,
30,
yes,
yeah,
Alec
he
Ingold.
was getting targeted a good amount
Yep, if I
too.
remember correctly, he was on the Raiders last season. If I remember
Okay.
correctly, he did make a couple flashes in some of the Raiders games that I seen him. And then when I seen him pop up on my screen a couple times, I was like, oh, here he is
Right.
again.
Right.
Fair enough. Miami definitely looked like it's in the right direction.
Yeah.
They will be playing host to Baltimore next week in a game that we
Yo.
will also talk about in a little bit. And then obviously Pats will head on up to the Steeler Nation.
Yeah. So we did our over-unders, right? And watching the Dolphins in week 1, I said to myself, I hope they are a team I was wrong about.
Will be.
They run the clock so well by passing it, like those little short routes to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, like It's fun to watch the Dolphins.
It makes up for the lack of run game if they don't have one. Just short fields,
I mean,
3-4
they
yard,
could.
3-4
Yep.
yard quick catch, and 3 or
Screen,
4
yeah.
yards for Tyreek and Jalen Waddle can turn into 25 very very
Even
quickly.
a touchdown. Very, yeah. Yep.
Exactly. As we get on to one of the feel good tear jerker games, Carolina versus the Browns in Baker Mayfield's debut in a Panthers uniform. Sadly, they lose 26-24, but that is not
Made it competitive though.
without a 17-point fourth quarter from
Yes.
Carolina trying to bring it all back. Hero for Carolina, who would have thought? Robbie Anderson, 102 receiving yards and a tutty after
Yep.
saying he would rather retire than play with Baker.
Right.
Now they're getting it together. And then obviously we saw what it is out in Cleveland. Jacoby Brissett is not going to be the guy. Put it in the belly of the beast that is Nick Chubb. A $144 on the ground. Big time helped me out in fantasy, especially with all those points. Where Hunt, I see, is he only got 11 touches, which is definitely going to be the more interesting thing to see how that goes forward. Chubb had 22, doubled him in rushing attempts. Let's see how
Hunt had a touchdown though. Hey. Kareem Hunt had a touchdown. Okay,
he did have
he got 23 in fantasy, even though he was on the bench.
He did. But we are gonna have to see sort of where they play him and how this is gonna escalate going forward.
He's got to eventually be traded, right?
He kind of wants out. Do they want to risk, rising up his stock too much or risk injuring him? So
he got a former teammate with Miami, bro. Send him to Miami. Kareem and Chase Edmonds in the backfield. Why not?
Just too many. Just way too many.
I think at that point you consolidate all your running backs.
They had so many. They got rid of Sony Michel.
Yeah, you consolidate it into 3 running backs: Kareem, Chase, and then whichever third you like the most.
I don't know. On the flip side, Browns are definitely going to be in for a bit of a struggle this season. Couldn't really move the ball well outside of obviously Nick Chubb. Amari Cooper was 2 for 10, I think. Two catches for 10 yards or 14 yards. Absolute letdown in week 1 for fantasy purposes.
I feel like that always happens with him, though. Like, he definitely gets his games where he gets his touches and stuff, but ever since he's been with the Raiders, that's been his downfalls. He has his poor games. Yeah, he has games where he doesn't really do anything. And I'm sure he probably had a drop. I didn't watch this game because, it's a Cleveland Panthers game. I didn't watch it. But I could probably bet that he probably had 1 drop in this game.
I really don't recall. I don't know. I watched bits and pieces in and out. They were getting blown out too bad. Wasn't really interested.
Right.
But Carolina seems like they'll be semi-competitive. We'll have to
Christian McCaffrey looked good.
Christian McCaffrey did.
Didn't hear he got injured.
Come back. He did a little bit. They didn't rush the ball amazingly out there. On the flip side, though, Cleveland gonna have to figure some shit out, though. Cleveland definitely gonna have to figure some shit out going forward for the offense.
We can be semi-competitive until week 13.
Absolutely, agreed. As we continue onward, we have our first tie of the season already. Indianapolis Colts versus the Houston Texans ends in a 20-20 tie, even after overtime. And for me, the most outright shocking stat: Colts total yards 517.
That's a lot.
The Texans 299.
Yeah, that sounds about a tie to me. Yo.
The Colts outgained Houston by 218 yards and could not get the job done. What goes through your mind as I read that off to you?
What goes through my mind is I saw Rodrigo Blankenship got released, and it kind of sucks because when he was coming out, he was like the next good field goal kicker, and it happens. Field goals are missed.
Something happened in his hip last season because I know he missed some time and he was missing some field goals last season. I think it was like a hip or a leg injury.
I think he missed 2 this game. I think I saw Colts fans complaining about.
He missed an easy. I know he missed an easy one, and I think he missed it in overtime.
I don't know turnovers. Do you know how many turnovers Colts had, if they had any?
I don't think they had any. Or maybe
Like one,
no.
two, because there's really no other way to really explain how you tie when you have 218 more yards in the other. Like that's kind of crazy, actually, when you just sit there and think about it. Like that's a lot of yards, and you couldn't get one
Some of
point.
it 200 some of these teams barely got 218 this week. And that's
Right.
how much you 517 yards. Number one total offense
I mean,
right
it just goes to
now.
show that they can move the ball. They just don't know
161
how
rushing
to
yards for Jonathan
score.
Taylor. I bet that looked pretty good for you on fantasy, huh?
Yo, him and Swift together, you literally like dwarfed all those zeros you can see on my team, bro.
On the flip side, on the receiver side, Buck 21 for
Yes, for
Michael Pittman
Pittman.
Jr., which was very, very nice.
Yep.
On the flip side, obviously Texans have a lot of things to worry about, but didn't catch a loss. Didn't
Kind of a
win,
lot of
but you
bright
didn't get a
spots
loss. You
too,
know what I mean?
right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The run game wasn't that great. Damian Pierce didn't
Let
impress
me
as much
down.
as
I thought
everybody was overhyping.
he
Got to give
was,
him a
yeah,
little bit.
yo, he was
Give him a
coming
little
in
bit.
running back number one. Man's
Give
about,
him a little bit. Give him a
yikes.
little
Yeah,
bit.
yo, is a rookie. Is a
Of
rookie.
course, of course. Obviously, Brandon Cooks is still over there.
Solid.
Dougie
Yep.
Mills, Davis Mills is still trying to get it together. The team and ownership is seamlessly behind him right now. He is sort of their franchise guy at the moment. We'll obviously see what the rest of the season pans out and what next year's draft class looks like because they didn't take any chances on anybody this year. As of right now, Davis Mills, 0-0-1. Not a bad start to the
Not
season.
bad, right?
Not a bad start to the season. And as we move on, we get to our
wait. Didn't the Colts tie last year too? Didn't they tie with the Steelers?
No, that was Detroit.
That
That was
was
Lions.
Detroit.
That was
Okay.
Lions. That was the
I
Lions.
feel like the Colts have had another tie recently as well, though. Like they feel like a team that ties at least once a year.
Steelers,
And Colts, bro. Like, yeah.
Colts didn't tie. No, they didn't tie last year.
No,
Not that I
all
can
right.
remember. As we move on to the next team and the second of our teams, New Orleans 27,
Yes.
Atlanta 26. In an
Yes.
absolutely exciting fourth quarter, another 17-point comeback coming out of
0 and 208. And now we can say 1 and 208 in a 16-point deficit. The Saints are no longer defeated.
You guys
the best.
got it. You guys got it done. So, a better way to play.
Yes.
What better place
Michael
to start
Thomas.
with your guys? Exactly.
Yes, Michael Thomas
got himself 2 tutties.
Yep.
2 tutties. Feeling good.
There are 2 people I tried to get in every single fantasy draft that I did. Gabe Davis and Michael Thomas. Those 2 they are going to be spectacular this year. Alvin Kamara a little slow.
Of course.
Chris Olave not as much,
A buck 44
Juice.
Landry.
Yeah, Juice. He had a pretty good game. Jameis is going to sling the ball.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to happen. And Taysom Hill had 84 yards and a touchdown as well.
Yep.
That's why I immediately picked him up and dropped Cole Kmet for my tight end.
Someone in my sleeper league has also picked up.
He's listed as a quarterback tight end.
Yep.
Screw it. Like, I had Cole Kmet there who gave me 0. Like, it literally cannot get any worse than that.
Absolutely.
Saints, it was a rough start, though.
Very
Defensively, offensively, obviously getting down 16 points. You never want to see that. Atlanta, Cordero Patterson did his thing again.
$1.20 on the ground, of
that
course.
That man is
looked like the guy that won a lot of leagues last year.
Yes, like his resurgence as a running back is amazing. Just to see it as it is. Drake London.
Yep.
Solid for a rookie.
Debut. Kyle Pitts disappeared.
Yep. Yeah. What do you expect, right? Florida tight end, of course. Atlanta started strong, but they obviously
they're Atlanta.
Choked it away. Yeah.
They're the Dirty Birds.
Yep.
They are the Dirty Birds.
And playing like that, this Atlanta team, can definitely get more than 5 wins. Just saying.
We'll see.
Just saying. As long as they don't,
We'll see. Definitely have to see what other weapons they have. Obviously, outside of Cordell Patterson, we'll have to see the emergence of Drake London as maybe this team's number one wide receiver
Yep.
for the rest of the season. Maybe
Hey,
he can
Drake
have
on one
a,
side, Kyle on the other. Good luck.
you know what I mean. Sometimes stack them up together. And
Yep.
obviously Kyle Pitts will be moved around. I think he has to be experimented more outside of just the tight end position. Have to line him up at slot receiver, move him around a little bit, get some more utility out of the guy because 2 catches is not going to be enough. It's just not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. He was drafted way higher than that for a reason.
I almost started Kyle Pitts and Darren Waller in one of my leagues. One at flex, obviously, and then I was like, I can't. Kyle's not going to have a good game, you know?
Smart man.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as we move on, we have Baltimore playing the New York Jets. 24-9, Lamar and company take care of business. Think this was an easy game to.
Yeah.
One of the easiest games on the early slate that we knew it was all set.
I think all I really have to say about this game is shout out Duvernay. 2 touchdowns. Congrats, dude.
3 passing touchdowns for Lamar and a high-flying defense led by your Marcus Williams, formerly your Marcus Williams. I believe he had 10 tackles. Led the way,
That's
did his
awesome.
thing.
Love to see that for him.
Did his thing. Played his ass off.
Ask him about the one in the playoffs.
Absolutely not, because he didn't want to hurt him. That's what it was. He didn't want to hurt. He didn't want to hurt Diggs. That's why.
Yeah.
He didn't want to injure him.
Yeah.
But Baltimore flying around looks fine. Teams look way better than what it was the last half of the season with no Lamar.
But they did play
no
the Jets,
corners,
so
no running backs. They did play the Jets, but the Jets also, we know they're ceiling with Joe Flacco. I think it's very imminent. Any team ceiling with Joe Flacco.
Super Bowl bound, right?
No, not quite.
A couple years ago?
The end. Yeah, maybe a decade ago. More so staring down the barrel of the bottom of the division. Though, nice roster. We still like him. We're just going to have to wait and see what Zach Wilson does when he comes back. And then
when does Mike White get the start?
Maybe next week. Why not?
Hey, I mean, they said they going forward with Joe Flacco.
Whatever. That game is pretty easy to sum up. So we shall continue as the Jacksonville Jaguars took on the Washington Commanders. Commanders
broke my heart.
28-22. Carson Wentz gets his revenge from last season. 4 touchdowns, 313 passing yards for Mr. Carson Wentz. Converted on 7 out of 10 third downs. Also, threw 2 touchdown passes to the rookie Dotson. Not bad at all. Not a bad first day at the office for our old friend Carson Wentz.
Honestly, Commanders probably should have lost this game, but the Jaguars do what they always do, and they shoot themselves in the foot every time.
As someone that watches them every Sunday, you would know.
Bro. No, literally, the game started with 3 penalties. Off rip, 3 penalties. 2, I think, were on Jacksonville, or 2 were on Washington. I forget. But then after that, they moved the ball really well. Like, Jacksonville moved the ball efficiently, passing, running. Like, they got down
for Christian Kirk.
Yes, they got down the field so quickly. And then Trevor Lawrence overthrows Etienne. They kick a field goal. The defense immediately gives up a touchdown. They get the ball back. They give back the ball. Immediately another, like, the offense started so well, and the defense, like, did not start at all until, like, the end of the game. There was also a drop touchdown by Etienne in the red zone, and then a missed field goal after that. Like,
what was one of your concerns for Jacksonville?
Red zone.
The
red zone is where they fell apart. They at one point maybe could have been up like 21-7, 21-14. Like they could have had this game, but nah. Even they got up 22-20. And I think even before that, they were up 22 or something. But it was 22-20. And then almost immediately a touchdown by Carson. I'm like, bro, this is ridiculous. It's what they do every year. And then when I looked at that schedule, bro, I just knew they were not getting more than 5 wins. It wasn't a bad game. If that's anything to go off of, there is stuff they can build off of.
Of course, of course.
There's plenty of things they can build off of, but next year, Jaguars fans, sorry, sorry.
Maybe a year or two. Absolutely agree. But as you mentioned, at least
That was
flashes.
tough.
At least flashes on both sides. Carson Wentz and Trevor Lawrence, both teams flashed some semblance of some offense. Both teams able to move the ball a little bit. Defense for Jacksonville. That is obviously going to be the story of the season, most likely, because I don't think they're going to have any issue moving the ball around.
Number one overall pick. Got an interception. A really nice interception, too, where it was kind of like out of nowhere. Grabbed the ball and he tried to take it, but didn't get far.
Didn't get anywhere. But, yeah, going to have to tune in to more Jacksonville games as we try to see. They could not play spoils to Carson Wentz season opener as they ended his season last year. Too bad. Better luck next time.
And Colts, Eagles, he's coming. He's coming.
More revenge games coming as we have one of the bigger shocks of the weekend. Minnesota beats down Green Bay.
Was it a shock though?
3-7. The shock more so is the fact that it almost felt like Green Bay just rolled over. Aaron Rodgers refused to throw.
Last year.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers refused to throw the ball to his young receivers after the Christian Kirk dropped and the miscommunication with Romeo Dobbs. Yep. Christian Watson. He basically just said, "Fuck those young kids. I'm not doing it anymore." Went a lot more to Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, flashes here to Sammy Watkins. Slung the ball. I think Tunyon ended up with 3 targets coming off of injury. Also, offense did not look that great at all. Well, on the
looks like what happens when you get rid of the number one wide receiver.
On the flip side, the Vikings defense was all over him. Zadarius Smith, we seen him take the little lovely chip shot at him, try to block him. They were flying all over the place. Also, Harrison Smith in that secondary. Good linebacker group. This Vikings team might be legitimately a contender in that playoff picture. It's looking interesting when Justin Jefferson got $184 and 2 tutties.
Yeah, 2 of them things.
Tutties. No one on Green Bay could guard the man, and they have one of the best corners in the NFL by the name of Jair Alexander over there. Not too sure what the hell is going on.
There was one video that I saw earlier. And Jair was like, "Well, I'm not on him. That's not how I don't control that. Like they put me where they put me." And then they immediately show a play of him burnt toast. Burnt toast. Damn. Justin Jefferson's a dog, though. Saw that coming out of college, obviously. And the fact that he slipped as far as he did, and you can say, "Oh, it was just 1 year," but just look at the games he had against Georgia, Clemson, and like just that playoff run alone, it was insane. And the fact that he is doing this now should not surprise anyone.
He had one of the best rookie seasons, one of the best sophomore seasons. He's about to put up one of the best 3-year stretches for a wide receiver.
And then guess what? That's going to get beat by Jamar Chase.
Maybe. We'll have to see what Cooper Kupp has to say over this season.
You're right.
Dog. But yeah, Justin Jefferson does not give a damn. And, doesn't help we have Adam Thielen on the other side. Veterans.
KJ Osborne.
Pro. A lot of skill. KJ Osborne. Obviously. And then, you got the chef cooking in the back.
Yes.
And, Kirk Cousins.
Didn't look too bad. He knows how to make
money. He knows how to beat Aaron Rodgers. I think he's 5 wins, 3 losses, and a tie, if I'm not mistaken. He's 5-3-1 against Aaron Rodgers.
This team can. It looks. If this is how they are going to play all year long, they will definitely be in the playoffs. They will definitely probably win that division.
It's looking that way. It's definitely looking like a potential division winning team.
But week 1, we'll know more in 3 weeks to go.
It is. As previously mentioned, Chicago will be taking on Green Bay. Minnesota will be playing Philly in our Monday night game.
That'll be so good.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit as we preview that game. That's going to be a good one. Another big shocker of the week. New York Giants 21. Tennessee Titans 20.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley's back.
Back. He is
164 on
back,
the
bro.
ground with a tutty.
Yes.
Ooh, wow. How do we feel about the Saquon Barkley I'm back sort of game? We'll see if he's really back.
Right.
But that's the best he's looking quite some time. That is the best Saquon has looked.
Yeah. Yeah. I really don't have any words for this, to be honest. It's pretty bad. My bad. Tennessee, their offense just it didn't flow. And what happened to Derek? Did he just get stopped, or did he get pulled out, or he didn't have a Derrick Henry-esque game that we would imagine?
And it's funny that you bring that up. Get this. Giants, 238 rushing yards.
Okay.
Tennessee, 93.
That ain't Tennessee football.
That ain't Tennessee.
That ain't Tennessee football. Yo, I did see the play, though, where that Giants linebacker, I believe, just blew Derrick Henry out. And they were like, Derrick Henry finally sees what it feels like to be hit by himself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, that was Lorenzo Carter?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Georgia football said them Georgia boys is different. On the flip side, though, Tennessee, their defense at least picked up where they left off. 9 sacks on Joe Burrow to end the season. 5 sacks on this weekend. So the pass rush for Tennessee hitting the quarterback looks like it's carrying over. As long as they stay healthy, I think they suffer the most injuries. I think they had 80. I can't remember how many players they played last season. 80-something, 90-something. High amount of players on IR last season. So hopefully they can stay healthy. The defense should be solid. They're gonna have to figure out where the production is coming from, especially if Derrick Henry is.
Robert Woods didn't really do anything.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Thankfully, I left him on my bench.
Yeah. Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips took the majority of route running and target shares. So we'll have to see. Tennessee's gonna have 2 young wide receivers on the come up, maybe young quarterback lying in the weights. If the defense can be at least relevant, Tennessee is going to be a team to be reckoned with in the near future.
Losing to the Giants.
Hey, like I said, in the
near
future, we'll see. Brian Daboll, obviously shocking, getting some jolt back into this team's offense. Daniel Jones didn't look amazing, but didn't look bad. Didn't throw the ball a lot. I think he threw the ball 20-something odd times. Didn't go all out there. Throw the ball all over the field. Didn't put the ball at risk. No turnovers, if I remember correctly. So hopefully he can keep it together as Tennessee loses this game. Giants move on. Can't think of who either of those teams are going to be playing. We do have comments. Saquon, top 5. If he can be healthy, I hear it. I do. And who do we think will have the worst record this season? Who did we say last week? I totally forgot when we did our over-under.
Probably the Seahawks or the Jets.
Oh, I think it did we not? Maybe it was.
I know you had Atlanta under 5.5. We both had the Texans, I believe, under 4.5. So one of those 4 teams, maybe Atlanta.
It was like Atlanta,
I would say Atlanta maybe the best team out of those 4. Maybe. But like the Texans did tie with the Colts.
Yeah, I know. It's going to throw off so much.
And
the Colts are going to be pissed if that comes back and bites them in the ass. Yep. But yeah, Seattle, definitely a shocker. We're going to get to them in a little bit. But yeah, Jets, Seattle, Atlanta, probably around there towards the bottom. Texans, at least got a tie. But if they're like 3-13-1, not going to be surprised.
Right.
But yeah, as we go on, we had another division game. Los Angeles Chargers, 24. Las Vegas Raiders, 19. As Derek Carr throws 3 picks. Khalil Mack gets 3 sacks.
Yes.
And the defense looking
like a defense.
A-okay outside of, obviously, Devontae Adams having 144 yards and a touchdown.
It's Devontae Adams.
And, of course, the Chargers didn't have J.C. Jackson, so that also plays a factor in that. Justin Herbert throws 3 tutties of his own. big story, one of the more underlying storylines of this is Keenan Allen hamstring injury. He will not play against Kansas City on Thursday.
That's
Mamba,
tough.
how are we feeling about him losing his number one option over the last few seasons?
Bounce back game for Mike Williams.
I need it.
Big old bounce back game
I
for
would
Mike
love that.
Williams, most likely. And that's the league you have Mike Williams in, yeah.
Oh, I have my
I have
guess.
Justin Herbert, so hopefully he can just get the yards to Mike Williams, and then the touchdowns can go to like Gerald Everett or somebody like that.
Mike Williams, 2 tutties today. 2 tutties incoming.
Probably.
2 tutties incoming.
Yeah, I could
tomorrow.
see him get two touchdowns.
Incoming. For sure. How do we feel about this game overall?
Oh, it's gonna be
Derek
exciting.
Carr and company didn't
this game. I don't care about this game. They sucked.
There
There is a reason I said under 8.5, sir.
Yeah, you didn't have, and you have no faith in the Raiders this year. None.
And they just lost.
Yeah.
And they didn't look too well. The only person that looked really good on that team was Devontae.
New team, got to figure some things out.
New team for him, and he's the best one on the team.
Yes.
Oh my god.
New team
just get a new team for Devontae.
New head coach, new offense. They got to get some things together. They got to work out some of the kinks. But they did play one of the better looking teams on paper in the Los Angeles Chargers.
A lot of people think Herbert can be MVP, and a lot of people think maybe they can make it to the Super Bowl this year too.
Big Nip says he is fun to watch because he has an insane arm, can do quite a lot. Very interesting to see how he adjusts. Are we going to get some more Austin Eckler? Are we just going to focus on Mike Williams? Are we going to see Josh Palmer finally, make a bit of a come up?
Hey, no Keenan. There's going to be more opportunities to show out.
Exactly. Is Jared Cook out in the tight end spot going to catch some more passes? It's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back, especially considering they will be playing Kansas City tomorrow on Thursday in a game that we will talk about again in just a little bit. As we move on, Kansas City versus Arizona, 44-22. Patrick Mahomes, 5 tutties. Travis Kelce proving on why he is the number 1 tight end in the entire NFL and one of the best tight ends to ever play the game when it comes to receiving. That connection is going to be deadly. So we'll start with Kansas City. It's a team that we had talked about last week. We were excited to see what this team was going to look like. So many different options. Juju did get a fumble, but still kept beating the ball. I think he fumbled twice too.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Comes in, gets a 30-yard. It's 1 catch, 30 yards. Gonna have to see what the rest of the season looks like for him. Offense, Isaiah Poco comes out of nowhere and is back there and the leader running back.
1165 on a touchdown.
Comes out of nowhere.
Ooh.
Andy Reid, man. Andy Reid moving around. How are we feeling about the new look Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, let's start with those running backs, right? Not having to have Clyde Edwards-Helaire be the main guy to run and allowing him to be the receiving running back, it's going to allow him to play more downs for him. Yeah, it might be a little risky, having him do more pass catches with potentially taking those tackles, out of the backfield. But that's where he's going to excel. And if you have a guy who just comes out of nowhere and can give you at least 60 on the ground every week, that's solid. This offense, even though they lost Tyreek, they haven't lost with Steph. Like, losing Tyreek, we see how well it helped the Dolphins, But you still see this offense cooking. Like, they haven't even lost it. There's someone in the number 10 now. I'm like, it looks the same. The offense is going to cook.
Agreed. I absolutely love it. And before we jump on over to Arizona, we have Big Nip says, in my opinion, Murray and the Cardinals are pretty overrated. He doesn't think they're as good as people say. And I'll let you pick under. We both think they're overrated. We both picked them to hit the under 8.5 games. As we talk about Arizona on the flip side. Yeah, that defense didn't look so great.
Bad game. Yeah.
Defense didn't look so great. The running game doesn't look so great outside of Kyler. James Conner's main thing is being the red zone touchdown, heat-seeking missile out of the backfield. Other than that, their run game did not look great. Obviously, missing D-Hop is going to prove to be a challenge for
6 weeks. 5 to go.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown didn't play bad, but didn't necessarily
Rondale
just
Moore was out.
jump into the he didn't really jump into that number one spot that many people were hoping he was going to be able to take. Arizona is definitely going to be a team to look out for, especially if the Seahawks for any semblance play any good throughout the season and can sneak a win here and there. Arizona is definitely in a tough spot. Cliff Kingsbury and company might have to start panicking already. I know it's only week 1. I'm sorry, but we are here on the show already not convinced. The media is now not convinced. They're gonna have to get some shit together. As to wrap up Sunday night football, we had the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay wins 19-3. Leonard Fournette goes for a $127 on the ground. Dak is obviously injured and will miss
at least 4 weeks.
Yeah, between 4 to 6 weeks. We'll definitely have to see how that goes. Chris Godwin hamstring, another one of the key receivers. Going to be a question to see how he looks going forward. Julio Jones looked all right. Mike Evans is Mike Evans. There's really not much else to say. Mike Evans has been good since he came into the league.
Yes.
And
Hall of Famer.
He just literally continues. Dallas's offense, though, how are we feeling about that Dallas offense going forward?
No. The answer is no.
CeeDee Lamb going to be enough going forward?
No.
Tragic.
Unless Cooper or Will Greer are like...
they're going Cooper Rush as of
they are, but...
There was the Jimmy Garoppolo.
Their O-line's already dogs. Nah, bro. This Cowboys team losing Dak, this probably nail in the coffin already, if we're being honest. Like, this is not going to be good.
From the playoffs.
Yeah, no, this is not going to go over well. No, I did not, but yes.
Oh, my.
They are done.
Even before the Dak injury, I was watching Cowboys eliminated from the playoffs, like, already, and then...
Yeah, because it happens every year. They're always like, "Oh, this is it," and then guess what? It's not it.
Poor Dallas. Don't mean to make fun of you guys. You guys seem like you guys are going to be on the receiving end of a lot of bad.
A lot of whoopings are coming y'all's way.
Yep. Tom Brady.
The defense is going to struggle because they're always going to be out there. They're going to be tired. The offense isn't going to get anything going. Like maybe
might just win Defensive Player of the Year because he's going to be out there.
Right. Like maybe Zeke can get like 100 yards rushing here and there, but with that O-line beat up, it's going to be tough. Y'all better hope Dak is only out for 4 weeks.
Basically, pretty much. Absolutely agree. We'll see how Tommy and the boys look next week. We'll talk about their game coming up shortly. That offense also didn't look necessarily spectacular. Only 19 points. Probably could have done a little bit more. But, of course, nonetheless, we move on to our final game of week 1, Monday Night Football. The Seattle Seahawks beat the Denver Broncos 17-6, spoiling all hopes of a joyful return for Russell Wilson. But all anybody can talk about is the last 3 minutes or so of the game.
Payne was losing his mind.
Do you take the 4-5 or do you kick a 64-yard field goal?
I'm going with Russell. Like, did people not learn from that Super Bowl? Like, if you're going to bet on him, you go against him. If you're going to bet against him, you go with him.
Maybe Nathaniel was thinking that. Maybe it's like, damn, if I give him the ball right here.
No, they showed the numbers. McManus is 1 for 8 on 60-plus yard field goals. Russell Wilson is like 56% on 4th and 6s. Like, I get McManus has a big leg and everything. Like, that is like one thing he's known for is his big leg, but no. Like, 64? Why? Unless your name is Justin Tucker, no.
Very good point. The last 2 minutes, very controversial.
And even maybe with Justin Tucker, maybe no.
Yeah, because if a lot of people remember he kicked that 66-yarder, hit the bottom crossbar and then sort of trickled in.
Right.
It wasn't just a clean shot.
But
he would have banked it from 70. Like,
they can definitely. I'm not saying field goal kickers, they can't make them. But like this is to win the game, and you have maybe that better
Everything on
chance
the
of
line.
getting. Yeah, like well, obviously it is week one, and they were playing up the
No, this
fact
was for
that
us. Everything was
yeah,
on the
no,
line
it
this game.
was, but
This
like
was the Super Bowl.
they were playing up the fact that like they didn't play like any other starters in the preseason. So like this is like their actual first game. And it's funny because I was in the PlayStation party and I said to our friend Trippy, I was like, go Seahawks. And then we laughed about it. Like we just laughed because it was a joke, right? Thinking, oh, they're about to come out and lose, and the next thing we know, Geno Smith is quoting Drake in the
Geno Smith, 2
interview.
touchdowns.
Yeah,
Really good
yep.
first half of Geno Smith. Didn't get the 2 touchdowns for the bright spot for Seattle there. On the flip side, 102 yards and a tutty for Jerry Jeudy. Got himself a nice, competent quarterback, and I am super excited to see what he does this season if he can sort of pick up being the number one. No Tim Patrick. So, obviously, a lot of passes going him and Cortland Sutton's way.
No fan either.
But
Yeah, Albert O, but
remember what I was saying, man. One of the quarterbacks is going to be on the hot seat. Not like he was going to get booted, but he had to perform. Russell Wilson
they
did
got
not
that
quite show
extension.
up.
He's okay.
Did not quite show up. That concludes our week 1 recap. That will do it there. We're going to just preview 5 games into week 2 as we start with tomorrow's game, Los Angeles Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
High scoring.
In hopefully an exciting game that resembles their game from last season where they put up a bunch of points. I think it was like a 30-40 game last year. This should be absolutely exciting. 2 of the best young quarterbacks, some of the best weapons on display. Very interesting pieces on defense for both sides of the ball. Obviously, Justin Reed was adding in the secondary. Khalil Mack.
And he's their kicker, too,
And
bro.
he's going to be their kicker. Harrison Buckner is, in fact, out. I did have to drop him in fantasy. I picked up Boswell. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting game that I wonder if it's going to come down to that exactly. Is it going to turn into a kicking game? Is
imagine
Justin Reed going to have to bang in like a 45-yard game winner?
Yes.
Woo!
That
Thursday
would be
Night
amazing.
Football might be pretty damn exciting as we get into that one. Of course, second game on the docket. My boys up in New England, we head on down to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers in a game that hopefully is defense dominated. Hopefully
y'all have Mac Jones.
Also, I hope for that. Although Miami moved the ball and they got it through their weapons, they were only able to put up 20 points against us. So hopefully should be all right. Only were able to muster 23 points. Pittsburgh was against the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was with 4 interceptions. So this game might come down to which defense sort of holds out the best.
Let's go Steelers defense.
Although the Steelers, you got the Steelers. The Steelers do have a lot more weapons, so that's definitely going to be interesting. This game should be a rather interesting one. Obviously, pitting some quarterbacks with some shit to prove. Mac Jones, Mitch Trubisky. That should be a good one. I'm obviously rooting for my boys. I believe that is a 1:00 game for us yet again. Game 3. 2 teams that won last week. It's going to be interesting to see because this could be a potential playoff matchup, or it might just have direct playoff implications early on in the AFC as Miami travels on to play Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens in a rather exciting game.
Yeah. This could be Lamar's new team in the future, man.
There's going to be a lot of speed on display. There's going to be some running. Yeah. There's going to be some nice defense.
Dunks.
Both secondaries look really good. Xavier Howard on one side, Marcus Peters on the other side. It's going to be very interesting secondary matchups where Tyreek plays, where Waddle plays, how Bateman performs, Mark Andrews. This game is going to be a good one. Should have immediate playoff implications down the line. Game number 4, and of course, we can't talk about the Pats if we don't talk about the Saints. The Saints will go
beat the shit out of them
to play Tampa Bay and the Buccaneers in a game where both teams
big game from Olave incoming.
Maybe both teams are feeling pretty good coming out of wins. Obviously, second divisional game for the Saints. Obviously playing Atlanta last week. First divisional game for the Buccaneers, but as you mentioned, You guys have Tom Brady's number. You guys have been bullying him since he got down there in Tampa Bay. So
Yeah,
that
our time is now, old man.
this should be a very interesting game. Jameis Winston will be healthy for this game. They had Trevor Siemian come in, and you guys had to do some crazy shit to beat him last time, but you guys were able to beat him in your second game last year. This should be an exciting game. Division games are always the best kind of games.
Competitive, yeah.
Super competitive. We do have a couple other ones, but obviously Saints. Highlight.
Obviously.
Sorry, buddy.
Throw it all over.
You gotta go with Tom Brady.
Throw it all over.
Tom Brady is my fantasy quarterback. I kind of need him to step up. Sorry. And then to end the week, because what better way to end the week than two teams that also coming off of big wins. The Minnesota Vikings will go into town to face off against the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football. Two teams that, again, could have some NFC playoff implications. It could potentially be an NFC playoff matchup.
Big game from Jalen Reagor incoming. He wants some revenge. He wants some revenge.
Probably not. But this should be a good game. Lots of running, some good running. Lot like Miami, the Miami-Baltimore game, running quarterbacks and some exciting running backs. Dalvin Cook, Lamar Jackson, Dalvin Cook,
Jalen
Hurts. Tons of young receivers. Justin Jefferson on one side, A.J. Brown on the other side. Obviously, Philadelphia.
Adam Thielen on one side.
Adam Thielen,
Devontae
Osborne on one side, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert on the other side. Philadelphia's run game. This is another one of those key games where hopefully Philadelphia. This will be a game where Philadelphia tries to prove that all the moves in the secondary was no joke. James Bradbury, Darius Slay, Sauce Gardner, fucking
Kaiser.
Yes.
Kaiser White. Yep.
It's gonna be an interesting game.
Yeah. This game is a true test for their defense. Yes.
Great to see it on a Monday night. Super excited. As mentioned, could be potentially a playoff matchup. Could
be game of the year potentially too.
There's Kansas City and Chargers gonna have a crack at that to start us off tomorrow. So that is obviously going to be an interesting start. We obviously have a bunch of other games. Cincinnati, Dallas, 49ers, Seattle, Green Bay versus the Bears. I can't think of who Buffalo plays. It must have not.
Whoever they play, they're beating.
It wasn't that great of a game for me to obviously remember to keep on mind. So we shall see. It's going to be exciting. That's going to do it all for RGTP. Make sure to be here next week to hear everything about week 2 and preview week 3. And then, of course, Friday. Be here 6 p.m. Eastern time as we talk wrestling. Of course, we have a new North American champion on NXT. We have new women's tag team champions on SmackDown and Raw. We will have our finals for the Arthur Ashe.
Yo, why did you just go full country on R?
We have AEW's Tournament Champion semifinals. We shall see Moxley, Sammy Guevara tonight. Bryan Danielson and Jericho. Also, we'll see what happens there. We'll see the matches that happen for fuck everything up.
Let's go play 2K.
SmackDown,
let's go play
Rampage, all that on Friday. We will even talk a little bit about the Pro Wrestling Insiders, at least top 10 wrestlers of the year. Some interesting names there: Bobby Lashley, Big E, Roman Reigns, Okada, quite a few.
Nah, we'll leave it for Friday. There we go.
A bunch of all that and more on Friday. Wrestling recap, gonna be fun. Week 2 next week.
Comment, share, subscribe. Noti's on.
Have a great night. Have a good one.
Or day.